Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor, which is due unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders, a great Muslim of well, and who've taught me this truth. Shalom to the elect of Yahushai, the elect of Israel, starting with 144,000. A hearty salute to the elect of the nation of Israel. And just driving at the moment and meditating on a couple of things. And today I was with my father and sorting out some business. And what I was doing is in the car I was playing some kind of historical videos regarding a bit of the history of our family. There's to a certain extent, through my father's side, we know kind of like the lineage, if you will, to a certain amount of, certain history back. Now, obviously, my father, he's in the world, but those of us that are in the household of faith who are in this truth, we know that we're, Israelites. Okay. Now, I said all that because what was interesting is that when I was going into the historical video, so my father's side, they're so-called Kurds. They're so-called Kurdish, okay, and they settled in Turkey, and that's where that's where my dad was born, in that country. But going back a couple of generations, let's say like my great grandfathers, they traveled from those places. They traveled from different lands over time. Now the place that they've come from is a place that was known as Khorasan in Iran. And the video that I was watching was still going into, see, I didn't know, and I don't know if my father knew this, but he had a better idea than me. Kind of discussed it, but it seemed like he had a better idea than me, but it kind of came more to light. And what that was is that I'd always been under the impression that they had, I know it's quite long right now what I'm saying, but bear with me. I was under the impression that they had made a choice to leave that land and come to, greener pastures, if you will, because they'd purchased the land from the Armenians who were already in that land, which the Armenians are Jake, man, They were in that where Turkey is, that landmass, they were there. So I was under the impression it was that way, where it was kind of like that. But when this historical video, when I was listening to it, what came to light is that they were actually under, they were being come out with a sword by, which I got to look into these people more. I've only found this out today. But the Abbasi or Abbas. So I'm gonna look into that. But pretty much, they were oppressing, those tribes there, if you will, and they moved to Turkey. And one of the points he made is, when they moved to Turkey, they could have settled in land, like they gave some example, could have settled in land which had much better farming land and kind of more straight and things like that. But they ended up going into they instead went to places that had mountains, that had forests, basically places that they could hide from an enemy. you know. And furthermore, the village that they ended up buying the land from the Armenians from, they went and basically the village is up a mountain, and the village has its back to a mountain, so it's a very strategically defensive point. And that makes sense because they were basically come out with a sword, man. Now, when I heard that, immediately I thought of the curses in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. All right, specifically, I believe the 64th verse, regarding being scattered around the world. Okay, now the scripture, there's a curse where it says, now I'm not sure if it's the 64th verse or if it's another verse right now, top of my head, but it talks about scattering a couple times. Now one of the scatterings it talks about is where you will serve wood and stone, and another scattering it talks about is that the enemy's coming to you 7 ways, and they're coming towards you one way, and you basically split in 7 ways, getting scattered. Okay, and that's what he was going into. He was going into the different scattering that was happening. And on my dad's side of the family, a lot of the people that I met over the years, and neighbors and people of the same kind of, that come from that same way, they're all Jakes, you know. And I'm talking about different relatives and things like that. Obviously my father's line, you know, we're Israelites, but I'm talking about like even relatives and people, you know, coming from that same situation. They're all Jakes, so it kind of, it all fits, because the scripture said that the curses were going to be a sign on us, you know. That's one way that you can identify who the Israelites are, because they're an oppressed people. Okay, since Esau's coming to power, you know, even going back to the papacy, when you had the Borgia family getting up in there, you know, in the back, and then the different European, you know, Jake dynasties that were getting brought down and taken down by this Edomite assault, which is happening over time, you know. And then that whole period leading up to that, eventually, you know, what was that called? The Renaissance era, which Renaissance goes into rebirth. And it was a rebirth of what? You know, pretty much Edom coming back into power, you know, and kind of kickstarting that, you know, Rome all over again, essentially, you know. That pagan Rome. And to this day, we have what's established now as one of the superpowers of the earth, the major superpower for a long time, which Russia and China and different nations are coming against it. You know, Joel, the 2nd chapter, talks about that the weak say I'm strong. Okay. But yeah, pretty much, man. America, Babylon, which is Babylon the Great in the scriptures, you know, mystery Babylon that's going to be destroyed, that's going to be fallen soon to Revelation 18. Okay, you know, which was a major place where of our captivity, which we are still in captivity to this day. The tribes are over there. Okay, all the tribes. But we're also scattered all around the globe, man, and gone through different curses. You know, come out with the sword. You know, and I was actually, you know, I actually mentioned to my father as well. I said, you know, there's always an oppressed people amongst these different nations. You know, like in India, you've got the Untouchables. You know, you get a lot of infighting with like the Punjabs and things like that. They're all Jake. You know, you always got an oppressed, and the Jake always oppressed them where they're at, because they got the curses on them, you know. And hey, right now before our eyes, those curses are slowly starting to go on our enemies. Deuteronomy 30:7. And that's really going to be ultimately fully coming to fruition properly and be fulfilled in its entirety when we're in the kingdom of heaven, man. Okay? When we're in the kingdom of heaven, and it's like it ain't long left now, man. So all this oppression, all this slavery, everything that we've been going through, the scriptures tell us. I'll take this exit. Right. The scriptures tell us, man. Here's the patience of the saints. Who are the saints? The Israelites. Right? Psalms 50:5 can prove that. Because why? Who was the covenant made with? The saints, the Israelites. Right? And pretty much, bear with me. Yeah, here's the patience of the saints, man. Why? Because the scripture said, the scripture talk about what? Those that lead into captivity shall go into captivity. Those that killeth with the sword shall be killed with the sword. That's the punishment for these heathen nations, starting with Esau, that have come up against us, man. That have oppressed us with slavery, with the sword, causing death and destruction in our people, man. And we that have this knowledge understand that it's the judgment of the Lord to punish us, for our iniquity, for our sin against Him. But at the same time, the Lord has mercy through His elect, through Yahushua, through His elect, onto what? Onto deliverance from the coming destruction, and ultimately salvation. Okay. And ultimately, all Israel are going to be good in the kingdom. All Israel's, going to be flourishing in the kingdom and be over these heathen, man. And not going to have to worry about being oppressed anymore. So yeah, man. Hey, just a couple of quick thoughts, and I just, I thought I'd go into a little lesson on it. Show you that, hey man, it's all scriptural. Scriptures talk about the scattering, Isaiah 11:11, different places that the elect are going to be, saved from, and all that, where we're scattered. That's all recorded, man. It's all the scriptures, and our redemption draweth nigh, man. So hey, yeah, and Israel's a big number, man. It's under the sea. Okay. Spread all around the earth, man. You're gonna find Jakes everywhere. Okay. Hey, so anyway, with that, man, I'm gonna say, shalom to the elect.